to have the Ambassador of the Republic of Iraq to Italy, and I'm pleased to give a brief introduction of his education background as well as his career experiences. Ambassador Saywan Sabir Mustafa Barzani was born in 1972 in Erbil, in the Iraqi Kurdistan region. He graduated in the law in the University of the Orleans and completed a PhD in the International Relations and Diplomacy from the University of the Paris Sorbonne. He started his career in 1992 as coordinator of the Public Relations Office in Erbil, and in 1997 became a representative of Kurdistan Democratic Party for Europe. He held the position of the regional government representative from Kurdistan from 1998 to 2008. In 2009, he was appointed ambassador by the National Iraqi Council. Saywan Sabir Mustafa Barzani is now the ambassador of the Republic of Iraq to Italy. Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much for coming here today. I leave the floor to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be among you today, and thank you very much for our friend. For years we know each other. I'm not new. I had a resurrection here. I was from 2010, 2016 ambassador here, then 17, 18. Then this is the third time I'm coming back to Italy, but the second time as ambassador of Iraq. So I know a little bit Italy, and I thought I was speaking in Italian, but we will switch to English. So thank you very much for this opportunity. I guess everybody here knows where is Iraq and what happened in Iraq. Iraq is ancient Mesopotamia, more than 75,000 years of social life, 12 to 14,000 years of civilization. It is geographically in the center of the world between Asia, Europe and Africa. So the strategical position of Iraq made of this country something important for everybody. First, because it's the way to come from east to west, north to south, and to connect those continents. Its history and spirituality influenced the world. They started writing in Iraq, they started the civilization in Mesopotamia, and let's say the monotheistic religions through Abraham have their cradle or their origins from this land. Everybody is linked to the land of Mesopotamia and Iraq, spiritually or by the history or by some economical interest nowadays. Iraq has been made from 3 Ottoman provinces in 1921, became a monarchy, then in 32 became a member of the League of the Nations, then in 58 we had a coup d'etat and the republic has been installed. So we passed from the monarchy with the democratic process to military regimes, authoritarian, then we have arrived to totalitarian regime, which was this regime of Ba'ath Party, Ba'ath National Socialist Resurrection, very influenced by the Nazism, fascism, and ally with the Western and with the Russians, and nobody understood exactly what it was, but it was a totalitarian regime who destroyed Iraq. In Iraq we had the education system was the same level as the Scandinavian, according to the UNESCO in 1977. The level went down with the totalitarian regime and with the wars. The economy collapsed. The war with Iran was for 8 years, from 1980 to 88. Then he invaded the neighboring Kuwait, and we had the most strict embargo in the history. And during the war to liberate Kuwait, it was not to liberate Kuwait, it was to destroy totally the infrastructure of Iraq. No infrastructure remained after this war, and the embargo for 12 years destroyed the rest of the social tissue. In 2003, the Allies, the United States and other 40 countries decided to invade Iraq and to change the regime, but we are in the very difficult region. We had proxy war. Everybody intervened in Iraq, and terrorists came from all around the world. Just to give you something about the importance of Iraq, we are the only country honored by 4 times British invasions. Nobody has been invaded in 100 years by British 4 times except Iraq, so this means it's a very important one. In 1990, 33 countries made an alliance for the liberation of Kuwait. Then we have arrived to 49 countries to attack Iraq in 2003. Then we have arrived to more than 69 countries against Daesh in 2014. And from the other part, the terrorists from Daesh were coming from 102 countries. So we don't understand why our country attract everybody from around the world. Maybe it is its history, maybe it's a geographical position, maybe the energy. It's I have a huge reserves of gas and oil and minerals and raw material. But in any case, what's going on in the world, it's never something with the journalist trying to say that it is from inside these regions or from even the terrorism is never coming from inside the population in this area. Always we have a proxy war between the international powers and the regional powers, and each one trying to use violence, terrorism against others for their aims. And it is not very moral, but this is the truth that everybody must know. What's going in Iraq and all these invasions, all these terrorists who came from all around the world, all these armies, they didn't come because Iraqis were doing bad thing or Iraqis were threatening the international security. They came there because there is an agenda, there is a proxy war all around the world, and everybody's using violence and terrorism, not everybody, but some countries, some organizations, and it is very unfortunate what's going on. But in Iraq there is a big hope, because in this area we had empires for more than 8,000 years. Multi-ethnical, multi-religious. What you can see now in Iran, for example, is an example of this kind of empires, but a modern one. When the Western powers has arrived to the region, they try to bring the model of the state nation in Europe. State nation in Europe, they put 1,000 years to build it. Uniformization of the population. Everybody should be from one language, one religion, and to come to a region like Iraq, where you have many different religions and languages living together for thousands of years. That was the shock. If you take a country like Turkey, Turkey has been made in 1923 after the 100 years ago. It is the Treaty of Lausanne, which is recognizing a new country called Turkey, and the Ottoman Empire doesn't exist anymore. So what happened there, that the whole population should speak Turkish, and they are secular, but only Muslims will remain. Because without thinking about that, a European, when he's coming from Portugal, for example, he will say, or from England or from France, they will say, in my country, one religion, one language, so here we will do the same thing. This is the development. And we had 30% Christians in this geography, which is called Turkey. Now it's less than 1.70. Just to give you an idea about the two different way to see and the two civilizations in the Middle East, we cannot live alone. It's in each street we have 3-4 different churches. I think we have 14 different Christian churches recognized. We had the Jewish for 2,800 years in Iraq, maybe more. We have Arabs, Kurds, Turkmens. We have the Aramean language spoken by Jesus Christ, and 3 of the churches, the Syriac, the Chaldean, and the Assyrian, which is the Church of Orient. Now it's based in Erbil, the Patriarch. They speak at home Aramean, at the school, and the liturgical language is Aramean. So what we must do now, since we defeated Daesh and the terrorists, from 2018 we're trying to rebuild the society. We are trying to not attract the proxy war from all around the world, but we are trying to be in a positive way to see that the differences between Saudi Arabia and Iran should not exist. So we bring them there to negotiate. They didn't sign in Baghdad, but they went to China. But anyway, we made the peace between them. We are trying between Morocco and Iran. We are trying between Egypt and Iran, and we succeeded. We tried with the Syrians. So Baghdad in state to attract for the last 20 years all the terrorists around the world, we are attracting the diplomats. We even tried between Russia and Ukraine. So we have balanced relations with everybody due to the multi-religiosity or multi-ethnicity of Iraq, and it's a very open mind system now, because I think after we passed from totalitarian regime to post-democracy directly. I think we have thousands of TVs, social media, radios in many languages. There's a lot of freedom, which is not always very good, but we gave an example to many surrounding countries. Even in the economical level, you know, during the embargo, the highest salary in the state of Iraq was $7 for the judge of the Supreme Court, or the Cassazione, how we call it here. We passed directly to $7,000, $8,000, $9,000. So we multiplied by 1,000 the salaries from the embargo to the time to the new regime was established in Iraq. Iraq has a lot of problems in the past because of the totalitarian regime and because of the state nation the British established in Iraq. When they established three provinces, we had 4.3 Jewish, 3.7% Christians, maybe 2% Yazidi, 2% Sabian of John the Baptist is a religion with a book, John the Baptist who baptized Christ. And we had 28% Kurdish, and then Arabs, Turkmens, Chaldean, Assyrian, and they tried to build a state nation. Of course, the majority were Arabs and Muslims, so in the British mentality, they should do the same. No more Scottish, no more Wales, no more Celts, and it was impossible. So we had a lot of wars, a lot of interventions from outside, and the genocide against the Kurdish population. Kurdistan was separated from 91 by decision from the Allies from Iraq. Then in 2005, we came back in Iraq, and we created the federal country, and we started a democratic process. So this process became an example for many other nations. If you look in the parliament, we have 30% women quota in Kurdistan parliament, 25% in Baghdad, and many other countries in the region. They tried to do the same thing, and it was the first time in the Middle East to have a democratic process such what we saw in Iraq. So everybody tried to attack us, and of course the media. If you put today in Google Iraq, it will say only bombs, and it is the only country there is no bombs in the region anymore for years. We are trying to develop the country, to have good relationship with everybody, to have a very active diplomacy, to bring peace to the region. We succeeded with many dossiers, many files in the region, but we had one, we forget it. It was the Palestinian one, and it's coming back again to the international scene, and as a diplomat I cannot say who is behind, why they did it in this moment, and Syria. But I am optimistic. I think if we work all together, especially the young generation like you, and to understand the truth, When we say such a country is a criminal country, it is not true. We have in some countries 200, 300, 400 million population. The only problem, there is some economical interest. They are controlling some medias and they're trying to give you this image. But the population in the whole world and the young generations, they don't want a war, they don't want these interventions, and it is not in the interest of the population of those countries to have 3, 4 multinationals who are trying to have wars and problems around the world. In any case, I don't want to be very long. I prefer always to have questions if you have, because I don't know what is your. Of course, it is much better than somebody who's speaking and giving something. It's always better to. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hi, thank you very much for joining us today. تشرفنا فيك.
أهلا وسهلا.
I'm Ghali Ababne, I'm from Jordan. And as you mentioned before, there's been a pattern of Western interventionism, and I think we can all agree that Iraq has suffered a very heavy weight of it. How do you suggest that this interventionism, how can we achieve a series of redemption and justice for those who were affected by it, by the countries who did the proxy wars? Thank you.
Shall we take more questions and then maybe answer?
Yes, sure.
Next question. Reveal yourself in the front if you have to make a question.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here today. I'm Eleonora Ioimo, and I wanted to ask you, how is Iraq trying to limit the use of proxy actors from Tehran used to preserve its influence in the territory and balance the power of Saudi Arabia, Israel, and the US in the Middle East? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. So my question is, after colonialism, many war happened in the Middle East because of the European drawn borders. There is a reason why diplomacy failed in bringing all these newborn nations to discuss again the borders and maybe avoiding the wars we've seen the last century. Thank you.
Okay. In fact, for the first question, it's not only the Western intervention, unfortunately. There is a Western intervention, Southern intervention, so everybody is trying, and it is a economical proxy war, ideological one. And if you look today in Africa, why the 3 countries fell down in this period, just after the war in Ukraine, in Sudan, the 4th country. So when you have a problem between East and West, and it doesn't exist anymore, the Western Bloc, there is always the victims are in the collateral victims are in those countries. There is a proxy war between the powers in the world. Let's say Americans and British leading, and the European are following, and the Russian from another part, they are very strong, not only with their nuclear weapons, but also by the experience they have. The former KGB is very strong, and they have the Wagner, and then you have the Chinese power, and after that you have a lot of other actors in the region, and the only thing we can do is to be a little bit neutral and trying to attract investments from those countries, to be neutral. What all the countries in the region did when the coup d'etat happened in Ukraine in 2014, then Crimea, then the war and the invasion last year. We try to be neutral because we know what's going on. This means, of course, the media in Europe, it was even prohibited to say that Russia has a right to do that or not. Everything was very concentrated. But we, as old empires, and Russia is not so old, but is an empire as well, we're taking our time to decide. And we don't want to enter with a camp and another one. And we now at 90% of the problem is economical and problem of who can dominate the other one. So this good strategy among to answering to the other questions as well as the countries of the region. But as Iraq is in the middle. Iraq has Shia, Sunnis, Kurds, Christians, Turkmens. So we have people from all around, and even the Yazidi, who Daesh committed genocide against them, the holiest temple of the Yazidi, or the Zoroastrian, is there in Iraq. The Sikh, the founder is in Iraq. For the Shia, for the Sunnis, for the Jewish, many prophets and many holy places of Judaism are in Iraq. For Christians, like Pope Francis went to Ur and visited other countries. So people has interest in Iraq, and they have even biblic predictions, like George Bush Jr. was saying that Babylon and the end of the world. So the aliens from Sumerian, I was in L'Aquila 2 days ago, they were talking about the aliens went to the space 5,000 years ago. So you have a lot of histories about Iraq. So a lot of people are interested by this country, and especially the neighboring countries. We had the prime minister of the King Faisal and the King Ghazi was called Nouri Said, they killed him. He said, if you have the interest of a country like the United States, with the treaty, with the signature, we can maybe finish it. But when neighboring countries intervening, it's very, very difficult to push them out. And now to come to the question of the proxies of Iran, of Saudi or other countries, it's not only. We have Turkey, we have the best neighbors in the world, because we are neighbors. We have Iran, Turkey, Syria, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and a small part to the Gulf. So our position is very delicate. We have the so-called Shia, the so-called Sunnis, we have the Turks, the Persians, the Arabs, the Kurdish problem, of course, in all those countries, because when they divided the region, they gave a part of Kurdish territory to each country with the Treaty of 1923 in Lausanne. To deal with that and to have foreign diplomacy, it's very, very delicate. When you have a totalitarian regime, I remember when I was young, a car bomb was coming from Syria. The regime of Saddam Hussein was answering with 2 trucks of bombs. When a bomb was coming from Iran, we was answering with 80 blasts in Iran, and they were coming to do an agreement. We don't do it anymore. But after the arrival of the Americans and its allies, Iraq became a very open country. And our government, our constitution never permit us to send a truck to answer to a truck sent to our ministry. A neighboring country in 2009 sent 2,000 kilograms of the C4 and attacked the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They didn't destroy the building because it was built by the Japanese, but half of the employees were injured and 50 person died. And we didn't send a missile or something to answer that. That's why when you have a democratic or a country or an open country like Iraq, with many very nice neighbors all around us, with different political regimes, it is a miracle to survive and to have peace. But I think since 2018, when we defeated Daesh, that Daesh has been created by many international powers. Diplomat cannot give you all the details, but as a researcher, when I retired, you can give the details who created Daesh, who brought them, and you will be surprised Sometimes somebody saying I am a Sunni terrorist, but he's backed by Shia country. Shia terrorist backed by Sunni, and all those groups and all the criminals doing those things are backed by a country, and secret services creating them, and the media of those same countries putting the spot on that, and they saying they killed 200 children. You did it. You sent them. You know, the means in the hand of Daesh. No country has those all those tanks, all those bombs, all these experts all around the world. How they can arrive to Mosul? We have no sea, we have no airport. How thousands of terrorists arrived from all around the world? Thousands from France, from England, from United States, from Russia, from Africa. Everybody came there and they created a state. So that was a good thing for Iraq in the long term, because all the neighboring countries and the Western countries, Russia, all others, they had a shock when they saw what they did in Iraq. They said, we must stop the support of this kind. If you go back to 1909, 1908, the Germans said, we will create support to the Ottoman Empire, to say we will create a Muslim nation all around the colonies, and they send their from the Colonial Institute of Hamburg, they send a lot of agents to say in India, in China, in Africa, you are Muslims, your caliphate is in Istanbul, support him against the French and the British. So that was normal, because it was asking the population to support a political and religious figure. The big change happened when they used the religion. You know, everybody was using the communism to do terrorist acts all around the world, or the far right and left side. In '79, the Americans, Egyptians, Saudi and Pakistani, especially the Americans, said we will fight the communism with Islamism and with small groups, and this became the biggest problem in the history. Islamism doesn't exist before '79, as financed and created by the CIA to fight against the Soviet Union. And until today, many countries and many secret services around the world using that, and in the media, especially in the Western countries, when you are from this region, you are a terrorist because you are a Muslim, and a Muslim is a terrorist. But when you look in the facts, more than 99.90% of victims of terrorism in the world are Muslims. And this is something very strange to say. This religion is terrorist and they are killing us, but when you look in the facts, they are killing the Muslims. So it was the most dangerous decision taken to use a religion for political means. It was very easy to finish with the Brigade Rose here. 2-3 years are enough to say you were communist, now go back and go home, go to the cinema. But when you said your God told you to do that, even if it is pushed by a country or an organization, this idea can remaining among the population. So the most important thing is to say this does not exist. You should stop to do that. No country must or should use religion to put pressure on others. And this is the main thing in the future. Even in the United Nations, we need a convention to oblige everybody. When we have an attack in Paris or in Sweden, we must not look the crazy guy from Kazakhstan, the crazy guy from Chechnya, because they use them now, because the Northern African are controlled. We shouldn't say Muslims are bad guys. No, we should say who sent this guy, why he did that, and to render accountable the guy who sent it, the president who sent it, the secret services of which country send these terrorists to kill people. You know, they switched 3 months ago. They sent somebody, his name is the slave of Jesus, with a Bible, with the rosario, with the cross, and with the knife to Nancy in France to kill the children of babies from 1 to 4 years with a. So you see, sometimes we are saying that the terrorist was a Christianist. When the journalist told me there is a terrorist attack in France, I said it is a Christianist one, not a, because they used somebody and they chose the name to say Abdul Masih and give him a Bible and give him a cross to kill children. But he was been sent by a country because they had some problems with France. So this is maybe should be the main goal for us to not allow that. Thank you.
Good morning, Ambassador. Thank you for being here. I'm Rebecca Maria Serrano and I'm from Italy. And my question is, what are the measures that Iraq is adopting in order to preserve heritage and biodiversity, being one of the countries that consumes the most methane, also with the practice of flaming, and if it is collaborating with other countries to do that? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very important question. We have a lot of oil, we are burning a lot of gas, a lot of cancer in the country. Saddam regime used chemical weapons against the civilians, especially in Kurdistan. The Americans used the uranium, they used the phosphorus. The war and Saddam regime left more than 20 million mines. The pollution in the rivers. Water is not arriving from neighboring countries, especially from Turkey and Iran. They cut by 90% from Iran or more, and 80% from Turkish side and Syrian. So the country has a big issue, a big problem for the environment. That's why we are trying our best, first to protect the environment. To entering myself, I'm trying to create a platform with the neighboring countries against the desertification and the sandstorms. Saudi government want to plant 1 billion trees in the desert, so I asked to have 100-200 million in Iraq as well, and we are trying to do that with the FAO. We have the special envoy for the climate change, a colleague of mine, who is working seriously everywhere and to adopt our policy to the global goals in this matter. We are trying to clean the country from mines, but uranium is very hard to do. The chemical weapons doesn't affect anymore because they affected generations, and we had 800% more malformation in the Kurdistan region. We have cancer. And now we have in Fallujah, because the American bombardment, sometimes you have the cancer breath for girls of 19-20 years, which is never happens before. We have a lot of cancer in the south because of what they used, the uranium in the south in 1990 and 2003. So to clean the country first from that, and to adopt our policies for the green energy. We are trying, but we are living from oil now. We have nothing else. Everything has been destroyed, so we are selling oil to rebuild the country. So we don't want to go very fast. And for the archaeological sites and to protect what remained from these wars and from Daesh, we have a huge program, and we have more than 24 Italian universities working in the archaeological sites, and many other countries, and the Iraqi government is trying to put the priority to protect that, because it is the heritage of the humanity, not for Iraqis. It's the most ancient civilization there, and the most ancient places of worship for all the religions. So we're trying to protect and to conserve and to protect. And we found that there is not only 12,000 archaeological sites in Iraq, but maybe 100,000. So this is our policy now, but the priority was done for securing the population when we had all the terrorist actions and interventions. Now, in this 5-6 years, we did a lot to preserve the heritage, the archaeological and the monumental heritage in whole Iraq. Thank you.
Hello. So I wanted to ask, you partly maybe covered this, but as you mentioned, the international opinion of Iraq has been heavily influenced by the regime and the past events. So how is Iraq trying to redirect and present this new opinion, this new image, to the general public nowadays? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have a young diplomat has arrived. So we are in Monte Mario, in Villa Camiluccia. A lady asked him the way, he said this way, where are you coming from? In Italian, he doesn't speak, he said, I'm from Iraq. Guerre, 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 andate via. So he came to me, he said, what's mean guerre, guerre? I said, war in plural. So this is the image, of course it was normal for all these years. All the oil companies, gas companies, all the people looking for raw material were saying that Iraq is not stable to intervene. In 2003, I was reading that Bechtel and Halliburton left the United States to Dubai because there was a lot of work. It's not the war. The war, they sell weapon, but what they call reconstruction bring a lot of contracts, a lot of money, and the image to give Americans tried to give another image in the beginning, but neighboring countries and the whole Middle East tried not only to send terrorists and bombs and whatever, but their media, and they are very strong now, it's not like before, it's not only CNN and Pravda. There is a lot of media in the Middle East. They spend billion for that, and everybody tried to push their people to scare them and to tell them Iraq will be destroyed. Iraq is because there is, different interests. A country in the Middle East, for example, because I am diplomat now, I cannot say the truth. No, say the truth, but not all the truth. So Gaddafi doesn't exist anymore. He was very afraid. Every day was saying, how you allow somebody to kill the president of an Arab country? How you allow that? So all their media, their secret services, everybody was trying to destabilize Iraq and to show that it doesn't work. How people can be free? How you cannot have a dictatorship? How you can live like other people, how Iraqis can have mobile phone, internet, parables, or newspapers. This is very bad. And that was the biggest problem. And the Western countries, they have always this idea. That's Middle East, they are savages, so we must only put the spot in what's not going normally. I was in Paris at the time, and I came down. I was very close to the Eiffel Tower. I saw somebody slaughtered, sitting like that. So I went to the pharmacy. I said, somebody has been killed here. There are a lot of police. I said, oh, monsieur, this is the third person, and his car has been burned. But I didn't see any CNN, even Le Rai. Nobody came. Terror in Paris, they killed 3 people near the Eiffel Tower in 1 month. But if something happens in Iraq, nobody will come to tell you that they rebuilt 80% of Mosul, they reopened the schools, they are building 10,000 schools, they are building railways. Everybody will say somebody has died there and there is a small bomb in the highway somewhere. So this is how they covering. First, there is interest. Second thing, you cannot change a mentality for 1,000 years. The danger is coming from Middle East. They are savages. They have knives. So it's difficult to change it, but we are trying our best. A visit of His Holiness the Pope, Iraq should spend 10 billion for that to do. When he came, he was an old man, very, he put a lot of time and a lot of energy to visit whole Iraq, and the whole world saw there is nothing, it's normal. A couple from Florence with two kids of 4 and 6 years, they crossed Iraq from Basra 2 months ago until Kurdistan region. I said how it was. I was sleeping in the parks everywhere. He said it was very safe, but in Turkey I couldn't put my car. I put it in a garage with a friend of mine, but it's very dangerous. So it depends of what the journalist and the idea a nation has, and it will be very hard to tell Italians that Turkey must enter in European Union because Mamma Turkey. You know, for years, people doesn't like the Turks. It's very complicated to tell them you must change your mind. It was this is their history, their mind, and it depends of the media. But when the people visiting Iraq and they're coming back, we received 26 million pilgrims 2 months ago, and nobody has problems except a road accident with the bus. So millions of people are coming to Iraq as tourists, but mainly as to visit the holy shrines of their different religions. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Ambassador. Thank you for being with us. First of all, I'm Valerio. I'm from Italy. And expanding on the concept of neutrality of Iraq, as you've mentioned, and its new role as a center of stability in the Middle East, I was wondering, what is Iraq's role in mediation in the current conflict between Gaza and Israel, and especially the strong alliance that ties Qatar with Iraq, being that has been strengthened in the past years, if I'm not wrong, being Qatar the main mediator in the conflict. I was wondering what is Iraq's role also regarding this? Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Very interesting question of the news those days. But just to come back to Qatar and the good relations with Iraq, when Qatar was punished by Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and all the neighbors, we had a very good relationship with them because we were the only country, so they changed their mind and they came to us. And we are counting our relations with the other countries by the terrorist attacks. We had 36 car bombs in Baghdad per day in 2006. Then we had arrived to 10, then to 5, then to 3, and then 1 per month. But since the countries in the region left us in peace, we have no car bombs for the last 5-6 years. But there is the same population living in Iraq, the same Sunnis, the same Kurds, the same Shia, the same Christians. What's going on in the Middle East and in Gaza is the same. All the dictatorship, including Iraq and let's say Libya, because it doesn't exist anymore, the others I cannot say, were playing with the Palestinian cause. Everybody was saying you shouldn't have speak, no freedom, you must be poor, no work, no job, just close your mouth, because the aim of my regime is to free Palestine. And the problem, if Israel doesn't exist there 50, 60, 70 years ago, I don't know how those regimes should give themselves legitimacy. I don't think that a country where the population has no freedom can give freedom to other people. So they used the Palestinian cause, and they divided the Palestinian population. Each country has a group, sometimes terrorist group belonging to a country in the region, sometimes in other blocs and biggest countries, and they made a lot of problem for the Palestinian population. In any case, I don't want to go back to the history to say that Israel has been made because of the Holocaust, because 50 years exactly before the Holocaust, they started to do 53 years before. This is nothing to do with the Holocaust. It was a decision to make the Zionism in 1898, and then it was a promise by Balfour in 1917 to make the state of Israel in this land, even before the end of the war and before the British entering to Palestine. It was the Ottoman province when they gave this promise. But the Israeli as a country exists today, and all the Arab countries were saying we will destroy Israel to bring back Palestine, but they made a very interesting initiative. They said if you recognize that 22% of Palestine, which is the Gaza and Cisjordania, it's an independent state and your neighbor, with the conditions you want, everybody will recognize Israel and will establish peace and prosperity in a region. When the Israeli people voting for a government of far right, and they don't want to hear anything, and then when they talk to them, Iraq has no relationship with them. They didn't recognize the country since 48. We're recognizing the state of Palestine. But all the people who are discussing with them, they don't understand what Israel wants. If it is the land recognized by Italy, by Soviet Union was the first country to recognize it, you want this land? No, we want from Niles to Euphrates. Where is your border? What borders? Where is your frontier? What do you want exactly? What is your constitution? We don't understand. Things should be clear. Do you want to this land where you are, or maybe somebody tell you you must take from there to there here? This is not feasible in the international relations. If you withdraw from Gaza, do you consider it a part of the state of Palestine, or it is the territory when the Egyptian invaded this region to protect the Palestinians? You consider it as a part of Egypt, you consider it as an independent territory of the state of Palestine. No answer from them. Then you have 70% of refugees coming from the other cities of Palestine living in this small area, which is a prison. From 2007 or 8, this land is closed. No airport, no port, no border, no life, nothing is there. If you are young in Gaza, you have nothing to lose. If you are a father or a mother in this land, you have nothing to lose. So the only thing they can do, money coming from another country with the permission and in coordination with the Prime Minister of Israel, to finance a movement there called Hamas. So the only job and the only future for these young people is to be a part of this militia. And the money will be paid if you are part of this militia. So I don't think so that the Palestinian made this problem. The guys who are ruling in Israel, who are ruling in Washington, who are ruling in Europe and all other countries, who made this situation. If you give them job, if you give them the freedom to travel, if you give them dignity, nobody wants to kill the others. Everybody wants to live in his country. And now what's happened, of course, I'm against any attack against the civilians. But what is the toll for, like somebody was saying, we killed until now more than 5,000 Palestinians in Gaza, collateral, of course, it was not what they're saying, and 1,200 Israelis, but a lot of them were even Christians and Muslims. But what is the toll for somebody who's killed in Israel, and what we can do? This became this way. The people are thinking, if you kill an Israeli, they must kill 50 or 60 or 70 Palestinians to stop. This is not the solution. The solution is to first sit down with the Israelis, saying, what is your ideology? If it is a holy book, everybody has a holy book. Maybe the Indians will come and say, this is our land. If it is a state, what is your border? What is your constitution? What do you want? And then to see if you accept that people living here, or God told you to kill them or to let them leave. This is, we should always starting from the principle, from the beginning. Everybody has the right to live, but we must be very clear in the international relations, and we will live together for thousands of years. We had Jewish for 2,800 years. Jewish were persecuted in Europe, which is true, not only the Holocaust. When there was a sickness anywhere, the people were going to the ghetto to kill them. They were saying Jewish did it. When somebody was needing a little bit of money, they were killing the Jewish, and they expelled them. But from North Africa to Afghanistan, nobody killed Jewish. And we received them always, and they were living with us. And until today, all the Jewish, Kurds and Arabs from Iraq, they consider themselves as Iraqis. So, if I do something wrong against somebody in Iraq, why I must give them the land in Europe? But in any case, today they are there, but they must tell us what they want and what will happen for the Palestinians. I don't think so that the Palestinians are asking for something else, just to live as human beings.
Ambassador, I know that it's not your position, but
I think when we have the initiative of all the Arab countries, or the Muslim countries, Saudi Arabia, it was impossible some years ago to think about that. I think Israel should accept that the day after, to tell them, you will have 78% of the territory, you will be recognized, you will have a good relationship, economical, cultural, you are very developed people, you have a lobby all around the world, strongest lobby in the history Israel has around the world. In the media, in the economy, in the finance, everywhere. So it's a chance for the region, but it's a chance for Israel, because they are not living in the United States or in London. They are living in the Middle East. The day after, the government of Israel should say, your initiative I accept it. Recognize me as a country, give me peace, give me security, and this is the state of Israel. In the state, some people say, they say the line 3 of the Talmud said that this is the land of Israel, I will not accept it. And if you do that, if you go to see each religious people and tell them what you think, no. It should be a country and saying, we accept this initiative, we are friends, we are neighbors. And this is impossible to get it from the current government of Israel. I don't know where is the border. Euphrates, there is no any more water. Maybe they will push further to say that our holy books say the border is further than that. And we cannot run a country with religious beliefs. It should be realpolitik and sign peace now, and Iran will follow. Everybody will follow when the Arab countries and the Palestinians. This is the cause of Palestine. Many countries in the region were ruling their countries and saying, as I told you, close your mouth, don't ask for your dignity because you are fighting for Palestine. This will be a catastrophe for the dictatorships in the region. But the peace is very easy, and this initiative, when I was younger, I would never think that Saudi will do this initiative, and the initiative was 14-15 years ago. Why there is no answers until today? So populism is something and the media is something, but the reality is something else. And today when you have 1 million child under the bombs, and the whole world saying because there is some terrorist in this land, we must attack them, the solution, the humanitarian solution for Israel saying they are democratic and they are part of the Western values, they are not salvages, they are not Muslims. So the solution was to say, I open the border, the wall of 12 meters high, and let's all the civilian and the children coming to refugee camps in Israel and this human rights country, and then I will finish with Hamas. Instead they said, go to Egypt. And when Egypt said, I will intervene, I don't want anybody else, they said, so go to the south, to Gaza. When they went to the south, they attacked them. Then, no, coming back to the north, but there is no water, no electricity. This is not only not human, but it is not feasible. I understand that in Europe everybody will say that somebody from Hamas killed some civilians, which is horrible. We cannot attack even kibbutz or colonies to saying that it was our land. They are civilian. When you do the war is against the militaries, not against the civilians. So it's a big mistake from Hamas, but the biggest mistake is to don't understand what is the toll for an Israeli life. For sure we will arrive to 20, 30,000 people killed, but what you will do with the 2,300,000 people, those kids, what they will do in the future, they are under the bombs for the 4th week, no medicines, no water, no electricity, and the problem that the civilized countries, the Western countries, only speaking. And the solution, and what I told you, and I am ready to go to the United Nations to tell them to bring the Israelis, what do you want? What is your state? What is your constitution? What is your ideology? What do you want from those population? And it's very easy to solve it, isn't it? Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. That's very kind. Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be among you, and I hope you can visit Iraq. There is no visa required. It's at the airport now, and don't be worried, it's safer. There is no pickpockets in Iraq. Thank you very much.